Hello, everyone. Good morning. Wave meteorologist Brian. Going to get started fairly quick here because we have a lot to cover. And I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions. And I'm going to try to answer as many as I possibly can here today. If you have a lot of specifics on your plans for the upcoming holiday weekend, when it comes to especially for Saturday, Sunday, all the way into 4th of July, I may not be able to get too specific at the moment. It's still a bit early on how this is all going to play out. And hopefully once I explain the scenario, this will make more sense, but it is a very complex setup. It has multiple issues we need to watch out for. One being, of course, the intense heat. The other, of course, being the intense thunderstorms that are going to be coming our way. All right, so let's start with the latest. First off, outside, and boy, it is very hazy out there. It is actually the wildfire smoke. It is back into the area today with a north wind. That smoke is really allowed for a hazy setup across wave country. So every time we get a north wind, and as long as those fires keep going, we funnel that smoke right back into our backyards. And that's certainly the case for the day today. Can't really tell too much here on the satellite image until I have a chance to go a little further back out from our scope. And then you start to see, especially in Illinois, where already from Illinois into central Indiana, getting to the unhealthy category on the air quality sensors there. No air quality alert for us, at least not yet. But we're watching it as it continues to get funneled down 65 as we head through this afternoon. So that hazy look to the sky is not going to go away. If you have any type of breathing issue, whatever may be the case, respiratory ailment, limit your time outside here today. All right, that system's not the main focus. Our setup really involves a two-facet ordeal. The first is the heat. The heat, which we've been talking about for quite some time across Texas, all the way into the plains. That is starting to stretch its legs more and more, and that is going to be the case leading up to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You already see excessive heat watches that have been issued for much of the Mississippi Valley, all the way up to just up against the Western Kentucky University campus. So Southwest Kentucky is under the excessive heat watch. Now, sometimes this can go to a heat advisory when we get closer, and sometimes it can be an excessive heat warning based on criteria. Will we see this expand all the way into wave country? I do think, because this is being issued on a very end frame of the window, the forecast period. Once we get into this afternoon and tomorrow, our area will be within that range. So there is a chance we may see some type of an alert for heat coming out. I would say roughly in this spot here, along and west of 65 may be coming out. This is if we stay storm free. We're talking about highs into the mid 90s in the heat index, getting over 100 degrees, perhaps over 105. And that's what's going to create some of the more dangerous conditions being outside. The first intense heat wave where you go over 100 is always the tough one because it takes such a toll on our bodies. We're not exactly adapt to the heat here as of late. We've been really lucky to avoid it. We've had 90-degree days without intense humidity. This one is the true full-on heat and humidity combination coming our way. But it's important on how this builds in because it will also help fuel the thunderstorms, but only on the edge. The thunderstorm complexes we're going to be tracking starting Thursday will go right on the edge of the intense heat and then dive around it. So how far the heat builds is important. And that's something we're still getting worked out. But as it builds into the area, if you're all the way into the heat dome, if you will, your thunderstorm potential begins to get reduced because you have what we call a lid or a cap on the atmosphere. It keeps thunderstorms from really forming because it's so warm all the way up. But on the edge of the heat wave, that is where the potential for the cap to come off, and boom, thunderstorms begin to blossom, and you end up with this certainly straight line wind issues more than anything become a growing concern. And considering how the arc is and the shape of that as it moves in, you can see how anything that would form would likely be Illinois and Indiana, and then they would dive right into Kentucky. So that put us in a tough spot. So the placement of the heat wave is one key factor. One way we'll be able to also track this will be the dew point, because these complexes of thunderstorms, we call them MCSs or mesoscale convective systems. Sometimes we call it MCCs. Either way, they're basically small areas of low pressure, usually with strong damaging winds. They have a little arc to them. They move very fast. They can move over 70 to 80 miles per hour in some cases. They get race. So they're a lot different than supercells like we had the other night that were forming on the radar. Those individual cells that you have to track producing large hail. This is more of a line that will form. But we may see more than one. In fact, we could see up to 3 that form, and most of them may take place, whether it's late in the day or night. It'll be more than likely a second part of the afternoon, evening type of setup, and that makes them a little more dangerous because most of you will be out and about, may not be fully aware, or you go into bed and you may not be aware. So important to stay close to forecast changes. The first round looks like it's going to be Thursday. They'll be diving down across Indiana, down to the south. Don't know at this point, though, how many will actually move right into central Kentucky. But right now, Indiana, Illinois stand a better opportunity to see the first round form there. Will they race into Kentucky, or will we stay capped Thursday afternoon? Don't know the answer. I can tell you, though, that the potential to get into the mid-90s is certainly priming the atmosphere up. That anywhere on the edge of where that heat shield is really has to be watched. This is a stuff that can change fast. Those will move through. We don't get much of a break. We'll recharge the atmosphere, and we'll do it again. As we into Friday afternoon, Friday night, although the Friday one looks a little later, closer to midnight, we get another chance to recharge the atmosphere on Saturday, and then we'll do it again. Saturday night, showers and storms roll through. Then hopefully on Sunday, we'll be able to move the severe threat a little more to the south. Look at some of the modeling. This is where the modeling, it's all its different ideas on the squiggly lines. The black line is basically the median or the mean of its potential thoughts, and it's looking at the potential for fuel, the CAPE we call that. And you see those climbs there, but you see the really big jumps Thursday and Friday that are showing up. That's where it's pushing over 5,000. That is like middle of Oklahoma type of instability we're talking about. So very unstable potentially. Right now, the modeling is going a little lower than that for an average, but you can see the potential that we have for a spike that could go higher than that. When you look at temperature, here is the 100-degree line that is located on a couple of those little spikes there, especially as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Roughly, I would say mid to upper 90s is what the potential is showing there, with a chance one or two models are trying to get us closer to the 100-degree mark. I think that's going to be tough with the green ground as of late and high humidity. You don't often get to 100 degrees around here with a very humid setup. Usually you end up staying in the low to mid-90s, but if we end up with a dry, sunny setup, it wouldn't surprise me. We could see temperatures go a little higher than that. I wouldn't rule it out. When it comes to the dew point, very humid air. And we're talking about dew points well into the 70s. This is the tropical type of air that you just can't breathe in this stuff, guys. Even at night, the AC is going to be running like crazy. But this is an incredible amount of fuel that can lead to the strong thunderstorms and the strong wind damage they can produce if they get going. It's important to note, we've had several power outages this season that have taken place in the metro. We had one, of course, on Sunday. This one's a little different. If we were to lose power due to thunderstorms, the biggest difference is you may not have any way to have AC to cool you down because it is going to be so hot and humid outside. So just kind of keep that in your mind for any backup plans, anything you need to keep in mind for a friend's house. If they have power, go hang out there and cool off for a while. It's miserable. It's absolutely miserable when you lose power in general, but when you lose power in the middle of a heat wave, that's worse, right? So just be mindful of that. A very humid setup could lead to some flash flooding too in some cases. The CSU learning model for severe weather has the outlook showing up for Thursday. It shows them trying to form in the Midwest, and then it accounts for the idea they could dive into Kentucky. So that's why we're highlighted. Storm Prediction Center, they highlight Illinois and parts of Indiana, but they take us down to more of a marginal risk down to the Ohio River. So they're still more on the initiating point of the storms in the upper Midwest, but confidence on how they will drop down Thursday night is a bit unclear. The CSU learning model that does very well in severe weather prediction, I've noticed this season, is trying to take that severe threat all the way down into northern Alabama. We get into Friday and Saturday. Notice it's focusing right across Kentucky for the severe threat. That black dot, by the way, which looks like it's located very close to, I would say, Anderson County, Kentucky. That's where the max potential severe weather it thinks will be. Storm Prediction Center does not have an outlook yet for the area, but that could change, and I think it will change. We just need to get a little closer into time on that. This is also another model we look at from the Euro Extreme model, which this basically all you're looking at here when you see the red show up. This is for Friday. It is indicating a high potential for very unstable, if not extremely unstable atmosphere as we head into your Friday. All right, so to recap again, we've got the heat that's going to be building in Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, easing back Sunday into Monday. Your severe threat will be tracked based on what happens and forms to our northwest. So that's the only good news. We'll be able to see them pop on the radar. Once they form, we'll be able to track them. But the risk is there for that to happen Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. And maybe it's general storms on Sunday. But each one of those 3 rounds will likely have severe weather in their path wherever they end up going. I hope that's clear on that end. We're working on the alert day potential on this and how to get that all drawn up and communicated. We may have those out as early as this afternoon. All right, I got to run for now, guys. Sorry it's so short, but at least wanted to touch base so you guys are fully aware of where we stand on this, because this is going to get a lot of attention in the coming days. I'll have more on this coming up on midday at 11 a.m. See you soon, guys.